Pierce Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in a small Irish village called Drogheda in County Meath, Ireland. His earliest years were shaped less by adventure and more by quiet absence. His father left before he was old enough to remember him, and not long after, his mother moved to London to train as a nurse, hoping to build a better future. That decision meant young Pierce stayed behind with relatives. His grandparents cared for him with kindness, yet the emotional gap of growing up without his parents was something no household could fully replace. Childhood for him was not filled with glamour or certainty. It was a period of adjustment, of learning how to belong in places that never felt entirely permanent. Even then, he became observant and reflective, quietly watching the world around him and learning early how to carry himself with patience and resilience. Searching for a place to belong, life shifted again when Pierce was 10 years old. His mother had rebuilt her life in London and asked him to join her there. Moving from rural Ireland to a massive city felt like stepping into another universe. The accents, pace of life, and culture were unfamiliar, and Pierce found himself once again starting from the outside. At school, he was shy and often felt different from the other children. But those experiences also taught him something important: the ability to observe people closely. Instead of trying to dominate a room, he watched and learned. During these years, he discovered a love for art and drawing, small creative outlets that helped him express emotions he didn't yet know how to explain. Those quiet creative moments became the beginning of something deeper. Without realizing it at the time, the boy who felt like an outsider was slowly developing the sensitivity that would later make him such a compelling actor, discovering confidence in unexpected places. As a teenager in London, Pierce searched for direction like many young people do. At 17, he stumbled into something unusual, performing fire eating with a small street circus. It wasn't glamorous, but standing in front of crowds gave him a powerful feeling he had rarely experienced before. People were paying attention. That experience planted a seed. Soon afterward, he enrolled at the Drama Centre London, a prestigious acting school known for its demanding training. The program encouraged students to draw on personal experiences to bring authenticity to their performances. For Pierce, that approach felt natural. The emotions he had carried since childhood, uncertainty, hope, determination, became tools rather than burdens. Acting was no longer simply about performing. It became a way to understand himself. By the time he graduated in 1975, he had developed a strong stage presence and a clear direction. The shy Irish teenager who once felt invisible had discovered a craft that allowed his voice and story to be heard. A breakthrough on television. After years working in theater, Pierce finally received a major opportunity in 1982 when he was cast in the television series Remington Steele. The show told the story of a clever detective agency that invents a fictional male boss named Remington Steele for credibility, until Pierce's charming character steps into the role. His charisma quickly captured audiences, especially in the United States. He had a natural blend of sophistication and humor that made the character memorable. The camera seemed to favor him, highlighting a confidence that looked effortless. The show ran successfully for several seasons and made him widely recognizable. With that popularity came new conversations within the film industry. Producers began to notice that Pierce had the elegance and presence suited for a legendary cinematic character. Soon, his name started appearing in discussions about who might someday portray the world's most famous fictional spy, a role that had already been played by icons, but was about to enter a new era. Strength. During difficult times. Life changed dramatically when Cassandra faced a serious illness in the late 1980s. During that period, Pierce focused on supporting his family and balancing his career with personal responsibilities. He stepped back from opportunities whenever necessary to remain present. Friends and colleagues often described him as deeply devoted, someone determined to stand beside the people he loved. When Cassandra passed away in 1991, it was an incredibly difficult moment for the family. Pierce, now a single father, focused on caring for his children while continuing to work. Acting became a structure that helped him move forward. His performances during the following years carried a new emotional depth that audiences could sense. Though he rarely spoke publicly about his grief, those experiences shaped him profoundly. They strengthened his compassion and reinforced the importance of family, resilience, and showing up for the people who matter most, becoming the bond the world remembered. In 1994, nearly a decade after the first offer slipped away, Eon Productions approached Pierce again. This time, nothing stood in the way. He accepted the role and debuted as James Bond in GoldenEye in 1995. The response from audiences was immediate and enthusiastic. Pierce brought a blend of charm, intelligence, and calm confidence that revitalized the franchise. Over the next several years, he starred in Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. Together, these films reached millions of viewers worldwide. His version of Bond balanced classic elegance with emotional nuance, making the character feel both timeless and modern. For many fans, he became the definitive Bond of that era. Yet behind the action scenes and global premieres, Pierce remained a thoughtful performer who understood that the role was only one chapter of a much larger personal journey. Life beyond the tuxedo. When Pierce stepped away from Bond in the early 2000s and the role later passed to Daniel Craig, he approached the transition with openness. Instead of trying to repeat past successes, he explored different kinds of roles. Films like The Matador allowed him to show humor and vulnerability that audiences had rarely seen before. Later, he surprised many viewers again by appearing in the musical film Mamma Mia, where he embraced a lighter, more playful side of his personality. These choices proved that he was far more than a single character. Pierce also dedicated time to painting, an art form he had loved since childhood. Creating artwork gave him a quiet space away from cameras and expectations. It became another way to express emotion and reflection, reminding him that creativity can take many forms beyond the screen. A second chapter of love. In the mid-1990s, Pierce met journalist and environmental advocate Keely Shea Smith. Their relationship grew gradually and naturally. She brought warmth, honesty, and a sense of grounded reality to his life. The couple married in 2001 in Ireland, celebrating their union in the country where Pierce's story began. Together, they built a family and raised 2 sons. Friends often describe their partnership as strong and supportive, with both sharing interests in environmental causes and charitable work. Keely's influence encouraged Pierce to slow down when needed and focus on the present. After years of living under intense public attention, their life together offered balance and authenticity. For Pierce, this chapter represented something powerful, the understanding that life can offer new beginnings even after periods of hardship and change. A legacy. Beyond the screen. Today, the legacy of Pierce Brosnan is much larger than the character of James Bond. He remains active as an actor, artist, and advocate for environmental protection and health awareness initiatives. His story is not simply about fame or success, it is about resilience, reinvention, and compassion. From a childhood shaped by uncertainty to global recognition in film, his journey reflects the power of perseverance and empathy. Through family life, creative pursuits, and charitable efforts, he has continued to evolve far beyond the tuxedo that once defined his public image. The world may remember the cinematic spy who saved the day, but the real inspiration lies in the man himself. A person who faced challenges with dignity and chose to keep moving forward with kindness and purpose.